Yeah. So what are you drinking in your cup today, Gene? You got coffee in there? Or what do you got going on?
It's straight water.
Oh, man, the hard stuff.
Water straight on the rocks.
I like my water shaken, not stirred.
That's right. Just don't get it all over yourself.
Well, welcome to the Opportunity Cast, guys.
Hey, guys, what's going on?
Hey! Yoo!
We are down at Dan today. Dan's dealing with some family stuff, so be praying for him.
We
Love you, Dan.
we
Love
do
you
love
lots.
you, but we've
He's
had a
gonna listen to this.
danectomy.
Yes, as you can see.
I still say that we should have gone with the teddy bear and the earphones and the flannel on the teddy bear.
The people have been... That's what I thought. I thought the people were clamoring for me to be back on camera.
I already have.
I thought that's what it was.
No offense to you, Joey, but I already have Dan withdrawals.
No, I do too.
We all have.
We're all
have a
having our
lack of
Dan
Dan.
withdrawals.
It's almost like we're working without safety wires.
Now that's dangerous, especially with me.
Well, I mean, I've stepped over the line a time or two, so you know how it goes.
Well,
Man, I
we've
almost
lost...
spit my water
I
all
mean,
over the
Gene
place.
could technically count as a professional broadcaster in some senses.
This is truth,
But, I mean, we
On-
lost our radio guy.
right?
Whose standards are we going by here? That's what I want to know.
Well, you know, it's kind of a thing.
He's a pro.
He's a pro.
Yeah,
He's a pro.
whatever.
But I hope he gets just has a good time. With
Oh,
his family.
Oh,
There's
hey, Dan.
Dan.
What's up,
here.
Hi,
Dan? What are you
Dan.
doing?
Dan's on the feed, on the Facebook feed. Oh,
Yeah.
Dan.
Oh, I'm here. I don't know if that's how you meant that, but that's what I heard.
He's looking down on us with great disdain because he's like, oh, he goes, what have they done? They're wrecking the place.
Well, why he's there, I just want to make him super proud. So if you're out there in YouTube land, man, you need to make sure that you smash that like button, you hit the bell, you subscribe because you're here anyway, so you might as well subscribe. It's really easy
right.
to do.
And the folks on Facebook do that too.
Yeah, they got to
All
do
the
that.
hearts. We
And
need
all the
all the
hearts.
hearts.
We need a heart.
Share and heart us.
Yes.
Grab us and hug us like the smiley face hugs the heart.
Oh,
Am I
okay.
getting too creepy there?
No. Well, okay, so we were having a conversation. This has nothing to do.
Also,
Oh, wait.
disclaimer, we're going to be a little bit off the rails today. We've got a couple things to talk about, but we'll see where they go.
You are shooting in my gallery, buddy, because I am off the rails every
That's
day.
true.
Woo! Let's do this.
Let's do it. So we were having a conversation. It has nothing to do with any conversation we were going to have. But my wife and I were having a conversation today, and I believe Jessie was with us. But she never got on her Facebook, she never got the little huggy heart.
She never got the care?
Oh my
She was one that
gosh.
never got it. She's got all the updates, and it's not there.
So you're saying no one cares about her?
Well, I do.
Or she doesn't have the opportunity to care about other people because
Through an
isn't
emoji.
that the thing? Like if you don't like or love somebody's post, it's like you don't care about that person.
Well, I don't know. Like love, haha! Wow, I'm angry. I mean,
They need an eye rolling reaction.
oh no, that would hurt too many people's feelings. I have a feeling that it would just break hearts everywhere. That care,
the Care Bear would be.
he would hug it
Although
so hard
people do
it would break.
people
That's right.
do comment eye rolling emojis on posts of mine at times.
Well, here's the thing. I'm waiting for someone to design a shirt with the LED fabric.
Oh, speaking of shirts,
Oh, yeah,
me,
check that out.
Me and Dad are rocking some Opportunity Cast shirts. If anybody wants something like this, hit me up because my wife is a very good, crafty person,
Yeah, she is.
and she made these shirts. We've got a mug somewhere. I think it's at my house, but
And rumor has it we're going to be doing a
Yeah, we're
travel
gonna-
mug giveaway.
yeah, we're gonna do some merch giveaways here pretty soon. But so if you want something, either hit me up or message my wife over at what was it? I'm horrible. I can't even remember.
I don't know, but
You gotta
you
do
can
a
hit me
pitch,
up, or you
man.
can hit Gene up, and we'll get the information.
because she's got her Facebook page, and I want to plug her Facebook page.
He is now looking.
Well,
on
I'll
his
tell you
phone.
what.
I'm looking at my phone.
This is what's known as a professional broadcasting move. I'm talking while Joey
Simply Shiloh.
is.
Simply Shiloh on Facebook. Oh, and there she's. Thank you, babe.
There you go.
Oh, I thought it said simply spinach.
Well, here I want to say that I think those shirts are awesome. And I would totally buy one, but it's off my brand. I have to wear a wild shirt every time.
That's
right?
true.
That's right.
You
gotta
are
feel it though, Gene. Feel the shirt. Feel the shirt.
Feel the shirt. I thought you were gonna.
isn't it
ask me to
soft, though?
feel your muscle. There.
I
You
know,
can right there. It's bulging.
I'm jacked, man.
I did.
Those shirts are soft. By the way.
I did send a message to Gene. One of the Roosevelt shirts that he likes to plug.
Oh
or
yeah,
that he wears.
Roosevelt's, man. Those are the best shirts in the world. Check them out.
I almost bought one because it was for those of you who watch Parks and Recreation, they have a Burt Macklin themed themed shirt. And I almost bought it. I did buy a funky shirt at Walmart that I'm going to wear to church tomorrow.
Oh, I'm indoctrinating Joey. I'm
That'll be all right. That's
him.
cool. I'm digging the World War II planes.
Oh yes.
Man.
Oh yeah. On today's shirt we have. On today's shirt we have. I saw it. I'm a big, huge fan of World War II aircraft. My grandfather built B-25 bombers,
Sweet.
the Billy Mitchell bombers, and so he kind of told me how they worked and everything like that. This is a P-40 Warhawk on my shirt. I love the P-40 Warhawk. It's my favorite warplane. It looks so cool with the shark's teeth and
Dude,
everything.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I usually don't buy a shirt so that I protect my bank account and keep my wife from being mad at me. I have rules to buying these shirts, and they have to affect me in some way, shape, or form, totally. And I love World War II aircraft.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I think I put a model together when I was a kid of that same one.
Oh yeah, man. I'm a World War II aircraft nerd.
Hey, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool. Well, so we've got a couple things we are gonna discuss.
Do we want to start with the more lighthearted one and then?
Oh,
then move on to our
absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, even the other ones, I think, is pretty
it's not.
sweet.
Yeah, it's not. We're not super heavy this week.
No,
But so Gene messaged me. We weren't sure about.
I'm not heavy,
podcasts.
Joey. I'm your father.
But I really need to get my soundboard figured out.
Absolutely, that would be amazing.
But so Gene had messaged me, and we were trying. Asked him if he had any ideas, and so we wanted to talk about some of the silly things that make up Christian culture,
Pop culture.
Christian pop culture
Yeah.
specifically, because there's some weird stuff.
There's some weird stuff. I mean, there's some really cool stuff too about Christian culture, Christian pop culture in America specifically. I was sitting with some friends at lunch this week, and there was 4 people at the table. There was two grown adults.
Those are like kids.
Yeah, we're all kids here.
We're all kids. It's all
Yeah,
good.
hello, fellow young people. But anyway, we were sitting at this table and we were eating together, and 2 were born and raised in the church. They went through youth group culture, the whole 9. And then there were 2, for me, for instance, I was one of the other 2 who did not grow up in a youth group, did not grow up in church culture, and came to it later in life, like in my late 20s, early 30s, right? That's when I started really dedicating myself to walking with Christ. And just the disconnect sometimes between a lifelong Christian or a youth grouper or somebody like that and someone like me, it was funny because we could sit there and say, oh, okay, yeah, that's completely filled with hypocrisy, or that's something I missed growing up. I wish I would have had a group of friends that said, hey, yeah, that's not the way to go. That would have been really helpful for a person like me.
I gotta just tell you, you just named a group of people, youth groupers.
Yeah.
I was a youth grouper at 5 years old because Dad was the youth pastor. So I remember all of the.
Make you think about bubble guppies,
Come
on, youth groupers.
Does that mean that there's youth groupies?
No.
Oh no.
No.
Let's not
Okay.
go there.
Okay.
That's
well,
a rabbit hole we
there.
can't go down.
I'm just asking.
Youth groupies. Ew.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Anyway.
I'm going to use this water for a shower. Hang
There
on.
you go. There you go.
No,
That's
but-
hilarious.
No, I mean, it's just a unique. I'm taking more of an outsider perspective because I didn't grow up in that. the first thing that I ever heard as far as Christian pop culture was concerned was the Jesus Freak album from DC Talk.
Okay. Yeah,
From,
yeah.
That was
from ZZ Top, the
Yeah.
Jesus Freak album. by ZZ Top.
There you go. Jesus coming round.
Since
In
you
that
started on the
Texas town.
podcast, we've had a conversation about ZZ Top with Dan at least once every week.
At least once.
At least once.
ZZ Top is my favorite band, so that was probably just a slip there, you know.
Well, it's
but,
all good. No, I like it.
But yeah, DC Talk was the first exposure that I had to Christian pop culture.
Right.
Okay.
And that's a big one. I mean, that's
That's a huge one.
a huge one.
I thought, well, why are they so proud of being Jesus freak, you know?
Right.
And I listen to their music, and I'm like, oh, man, these guys put a lot of effort into developing their art.
right.
And I was like, oh, this is cool. So I started listening to it. But before that, my exposure was to Carmen.
Okay. Okay. Wait. Whoa.
You've got to talk about it.
Okay. All right. So here's the thing.
Okay,
here's the
go
thing. I am a youth grouper. Let me give you just a little bit of background if you guys don't know. Both of my grandfathers were pastors, so I am continuing the long line of pop Christian culture in our nation. But so literally, like
My father's father, my forefather,
That's
my
right.
grandfather.
And
I mean,
his
it's
father's father.
You know?
And his father's father's fathers.
That's a great heritage
It's
to
an
have,
it's an
though.
amazing heritage. But so growing up, I mean, we grew up in the church, and literally, my pastor would ask me at least when I was like 13, 14, if at least twice a year I would do Carmen the Champion. Like that was like the special of the church Sunday is like me doing the champion.
Really?
And let's see, I've also done Witch's Invitation. So
oh my gosh.
That is a classic.
So if you know, I will never do them again.
Oh,
But that's just what I'm saying. straight
Josh,
up.
Josh on Facebook, he just said Carmen is the Christian Tom Jones, and that could not be any more
is the
I
accurate.
cannot unsee that.
That could not be any more accurate.
Okay, did you all see the movie he did
It's
about
not
the boxer?
unusual to love
have not seen
Jesus.
it.
He's got a movie out there about a boxer.
Are you serious?
It's cheese. It's cheese to the bazillionth
degree.
level. But yeah.
Well,
anyway.
Carmen equals cheese. I mean, seriously, he is the cheese
Well,
whiz
and
of Christian pop culture.
And what's
That's right.
funny about that
He's
is
good, but he's probably in extended doses. He's probably not
Is-
good for you.
when I was growing up, I would go stay when my grandparents were living in Kansas City. I would go and I would stay with them for a week and just hang out. But so every time I'd get in the car, and this is another one, this is a big one, we would either listen to Carmen, the specific album Revival in the Land, which I still look back on fondly, but then I go and listen, and it's one that I prefer to look back on fondly. But it was either
my high
that-
school career.
it was either that or we would listen to Mr. Henry on CD. And Mr. Henry would tell Bible stories, wild and wacky stories that were
Bible
totally
stories.
true. And these
This is great.
they still hold up today. Like my kids will listen to them. They're hilarious.
It's like the precursor to VeggieTales. Come on, I mean,
yeah,
VeggieTales
it's in that
rocks.
same.
I mean,
It's in that. That's another one that I could talk about for. I'm in the process.
But does he have a tuba?
No, he doesn't have a tuba.
Now, see, that I got in on VeggieTales. I got in when they really, really became popular. That was kind of when I was getting into Christian pop culture. I missed a lot of stuff. To me, when my mom was trying to get me, my mom was in the church a lot longer, than I was, and she was using Carmen to try to get me in the church. And I'm like, man, I don't think that's cool enough.
What age are you at this point?
15, 16, 17.
oh no, he's not cool.
Yeah, I'm
No,
I
no.
was sitting there going like, Mom, I'd rather listen to Tupac or Biggie or stuff like that. It just to me, Lecrae is extremely. He's an artist. DC Talk, an artist. People that really give, genuine time and effort into crafting a song or that's what I admire when an artist gives genuine time and effort and just doesn't try to flush it out to lure Christians into the theater or the record store or the what record store? Oh my gosh, there's no record stores.
Hey, that's
you
not true. Shout
you
out to
old
In the
man.
Groove
In the
Jeff
Groove
City.
in Jeff City. They're
and
out
Hit
there.
Records over in Columbia.
All right, I forgot the hipsters are back into the vinyl.
But they're not in like the mall anymore.
Okay, yeah, they're not in the mall. There's
Not
not
in the
many.
mall.
There's not many malls anymore.
We don't want to go to the mall. Corona's there.
I have
Come
to
on.
go to the mall today.
You do.
Well, I'm actually. It depends. I gotta go to Target at some point today.
Okay, let me discuss something. Since you're talking about the mall, it reminds me of Columbia, which leads me to say it's a very sad day because COVID-19.
Oh.
COVID-19.
I'm gonna remove my hat real quick.
Everyone, remove your hats. Let's remove our hats. COVID-19 killed Chuck E. Cheese.
He removed the hat. Dude,
That's it. That's all you
That's
get.
all
to
you
look
get
at.
paid.
That's all you
Wait.
get.
No,
That's all
but
you
this
get.
is a sad day. It did.
It is.
Many potty training celebration parties in my family for generations took place at Chuck E. Cheese.
we wanted to scare it out.
There were many. There are so many.
Oh gosh.
Let me tell you something, and I my gosh, that caught me totally off guard.
Oh, sorry.
Potty training celebration parties.
Yeah, because if you know,
Let's party.
that's potty with really bad pizza.
Would you like to
Okay.
party?
So all of you are in agreement with me. COVID-19 killing Chuck E. Cheese was a mercy killing.
Yeah.
Paige just said it was a blessing.
Okay.
Okay,
blessing.
worst pizza on the face of the planet. Can we all be in agreement with that?
Yes.
Yeah, cardboard cheese mounted on
Hey,
cardboard.
the pizza in the mall, the mall,
The mole.
is,
The mall.
is much better. Man, that's not saying much.
It's not.
Anyone who knows
Show.
knows Pastor Jason knows his disdain. It's like bananas, number one.
Number one. Well, and spiders are real
And
up there.
spiders, it's like spiders and bananas tied for number one.
One A.
Yes.
One A.
It's like
Perfect.
it's like a college division. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And then two, very, very, like there's not a lot of
there's
room.
not a lot of room.
Is malls.
The mall.
the
You hate the
mall.
mall.
Oh man.
I love the mall. I grew up with the mall. Mall was like culture to me.
Josh just said brands don't die, they are sold. They will be back just like the Twinkie.
No.
And I think there's.
And Toys R Us.
That's true.
Oh man, it's like where.
That makes me cry. Sorry.
There's
Too soon.
nothing
Yeah.
more creepy to me though than a animatronic rat staring you down. My daughter.
Can we segue from animatronic? I mean, I want to go back to that story. Actually,
We
no.
can.
Tell the story.
I'll finish the story
You
really
finish the
quick.
story.
It's a quick story.
No, this will be good.
All right, so animatronic rats, very creepy. Okay,
Yes.
you know
We can all agree on that one.
They are looking at you while you walk into the restaurant. And
There's a reason Five Nights at Freddy's is so popular is because everyone has that fear.
All right, yeah, that the thing is going to walk down and just lay waste to Columbia, right? I think they're doing them a favor. But anyway, my youngest daughter, Kaylee, was scared to death of Chuck E. Cheese. I mean,
Rightly
just
so.
especially the person that comes out in the costume with the big head and everything like that. Big head
mascot
mascots.
Chucky?
Yes, mascot Chucky, the cool Chucky with the yes, wrong Chucky.
Oh, my bad.
But he would come out, and every time she would come out, she would be visibly shaken. I have a photograph from one of Drennan's birthday parties that has us all posed with Chuck E. Cheese, and everybody's got this gigantic smile, and I'm holding little 1.5, 2-year-old Kaylee in my arms, and she has a look of abject terror on her face. It's one of my favorite photographs from our family. Everybody's and she's going, "Oh my God, he's going to eat me!" So yeah, it's just okay. All right.
But from animatronics being creepy, to come back to Christian culture, all of the terrifying animated puppet animatronic different kids shows they had over the years.
Yeah.
Like Gerbert.
Oh,
Do you
wow.
remember Gerbert?
That's
a deep cut
right there.
The little orange dude, the little orange puppet guy, Gerbert.
Gerbert. It's
Yeah.
like a mix between Ernie and Bert. It's
That's
like
exactly
That's
right.
exactly
they
what it
just
was.
Ripped them apart and
But
then sewed them back together.
He learned different life lessons and how it and different things.
Oh, I see him now. Paige has brought him up on the camera.
There he is.
Yes.
Good Lord, he doesn't even have a nose. How does he smell?
No,
That's
but
okay.
But Gerbert was one. That was
He
one that
looks cute.
he
Well,
is a
and then
cute
you-
puppet.
And then you had the Christian anime, which was Superbook.
Oh yeah,
I mean, just think about it.
that's
their
too
action
deep
scenes.
for me. But
Okay,
yeah.
you guys are gonna have to Christian explain.
I
this
don't
to me.
know Superbook.
Okay,
That's one
Superbook
that
was
I
just
don't
it was
know.
a cartoon, and
Pop
there was
Christian explain.
and it was these kids telling stories, but they had a robot. It was all animated. It was like
Okay.
anime. They had a robot, big
As
round
you
robot.
do.
As you do. Here, we've got it going right up here. Superbook.
Okay, here we go.
So
All right, Superbook. Oh man, very.
you got to find See, that's the original. So, and
Okay.
and anyway, and
He looks
they
like
would
a
go
robot.
back in
Let me-
time.
he looks like a robot.
I was gonna say
from
that
the
Aubrey
Crusades.
Ash just brought up "Salty" the singing hymnal,
Oh.
which you can speak to
I
as
can
well.
speak to this as
All right,
well.
well, I just want to say we're looking at Superbook right now. The robot, right? That's
Yes.
the robot with the big
With the
he-
cross on the front of him.
He looks like something from the Crusades.
Yes. We won't even go there. But you can see the anime though. See?
Okay, yes.
That was the style.
Oh my.
They would go back in time and they would live within the Bible
Now that's
story.
pretty cool.
No, it's a good show.
That's like the story. The
if
story.
Brandon Crawford is out there watching, or if he comes and sees at some point, he's going to be like, Superbook rocks, because that was his thing.
That's Brandon's jam was Superbook.
Oh, man. Yeah. Matter of
I'm
fact,
gonna
his
have to
kids are
watch
watching
this.
it every Sunday morning while they're at church.
Do they actually watch it?
Yeah, they do.
Yes.
Because I try to show my kids old stuff.
And they won't watch.
Oh no, they're out within 5 minutes. They're like, this is old stuff. We're done. We tried to show them. I wanted to show them the A-Team.
That didn't work.
No, it didn't work.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
I pity the fool.
Yeah.
That BA was not enough to keep them entertained.
I ain't going in no plane, Hannibal.
I ain't going to no plane. Hey, fool. So, okay, and then
But
Salty.
Salty the singing songbook.
Do you know Salty?
No.
Okay,
no, dude,
Pull
this
that
is-
one,
you
and it's
guys
Salty
are
as
teaching me today.
PSALTY because he was the book of Psalms.
Okay.
Oh, okay. You
So,
guys are teaching me
let me-
today.
let-
This
background-
is a
yeah.
public service.
This is
So when
so
people say these
literally
things to me-
I grew
Is this
up in a
before or
Christian.
after the Carmen specials?
This was before. This
So-
was before.
So wait, there's a BC and an AC.
Okay. Yes, there
This
is.
killing before Carmen.
Yes,
after
Carmen. Yes. So this is definitely before. I went to school from I believe it was first grade, all the
Okay,
way
so-
through high school to Christian school.
Paige just brought up a picture of Salty, the songbook,
Right.
and he looks like if Barney was pressed into a book.
Exactly. And so what it was
Okay.
they did it was you can see it's like a play, right?
Okay, yeah.
So at the Christian schools we did plays for our drama.
Okay.
Okay. And so that one that she actually pulled up, Salty 5, that there's like Salty
There were
10.
multiple Salties.
Yes. And
Okay, I have to ask a question.
Yes.
What happened to the Salties that came before? Did they just go home
No,
to
it's the
retire?
same. No, it's the same guy. It's just different
Oh,
stories.
so you like changed his book jacket.
It wasn't.
Exactly.
Like, it wasn't like Tiger Mask.
right. No, it's-
Okay, all right.
it was-
You're getting something.
Okay,
that,
so
you're talking about language.
So
Joey.
I was. Oh, keep scrolling up. Okay, see the one with the 3 kids? Keep going up. Keep going up. It's the cartoon version.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
Gene.
Yeah, right there.
Put your mic more like straight on.
like straight on, like
There you
here.
go. Okay. So see so you got the blue songbook, you got the
Okay.
yellow songbook. That was Salty, and it's like mom and dad book.
Okay.
And then there's the 3 little song
So it's a
booklets.
family of books.
Right. That one
Okay.
with the blonde hair, his name was Rhythm.
Ooh, I like him
And
already.
in the play, I got to wear a book, and I was their son, Rhythm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he
This-
talk like this? Hey, I'm Rhythm.
No, man, you talk like a squeaky little kid with glasses and freckles because that's who I was. And anyway,
You identified with rhythm.
yes. So I mean, literally, this is like these. I mean, we
You
grew
got
up in
rhythm.
this.
I've seen you on the dance floor.
Hey, I could
You
chef
could
a
cut
little
a
bit,
rug.
man. But you know who I
If
can't
you
dance
will.
like? I cannot dance like Mercer Nichols. He was doing some. He was dancing last night at dinner to
Yeah.
Uptown Funk. It was
Ooh.
the best. It was. It made
Why
my
did
night.
you not video this on your iPhone?
Simone,
Because
we
it was
need
so
that
adorable.
footage.
I was like, oh. Anyway, so that's
All
so.
right, let me ask.
Yes.
I got to ask a question. It looks moderately like if Barney and Sid and Marty Krofft had a baby. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Okay.
That's accurate. I mean, and so literally, I mean, so we have these things in the church that, you didn't grow up with.
They said they had Audio Salty. What was Audio Salty?
It was probably like Mr. Henry, because they did Mr. Henry videos, but I didn't see those until later when my other grandparents had the DVD set, which I now own. But it was like a
it was stories.
book on tape or whatever.
It was about, I mean, I don't know if they ever taught
me
anything.
They were audio dramas, basically.
Yeah, but there were stories about what was going on. There was always a moral.
They had to have. Dude, they had to have teach you something, because there's people today that I've seen that grew up with VeggieTales.
Kind of
Oh, yeah.
And they watched VeggieTales, and they can tell you, they may have not even cracked a Bible, but they can tell you the story of a Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Rack, Shack, and Benny?
Yes, exactly.
That's right.
So
VeggieTales is probably in... I hope Audrey, my friend, sees this, because Audrey has so much disdain for VeggieTales.
Oh, we need to talk about VeggieTales, because I can actually get in on this discussion.
VeggieTales to me is not only the greatest children's or greatest Christian children's thing.
It is
the
made.
Greatest.
It's
children's.
Art.
It's so good.
It's art. It is
and
art.
I just got to say this, man. Phil Vischer.
Phil Vischer is
shout
the man.
out to him. He is still amazing. He's still doing stuff for kids. He does stuff that teaches me, like what's in the Bible.
Shout out to the Holy Post podcast.
What's in the
Holy
Bible?
Post.
That's another one.
What's in the Bible is
not only does he have VeggieTales, but he's got What's in the Bible too. The dude's prolific. He's like the Christian Stephen King. He just cranks them out.
I just had a vision of Phil Vischer writing VeggieTales in a horror kind of sense. Wow.
Well, hey, you talk about
the prolificness.
No, that's right.
What was the one? The Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Sly.
Oh yes,
that one was scary. Ah, the feet.
The feet. The hand. Yes,
that one's kind of scary. But I'm in the process of getting all of the. I spent way more money than I probably should have spent on it, but I have all the VeggieTales from 1993 to 1999.
Money well spent.
Money well spent.
Yeah.
They're
and
classic,
I'm justifying it by saying, well, I'm going to have kids at some point. I want them to be able to see them all, but I really bought them for me.
Well, no doubt.
Yeah.
And so I have one more, because Aubrey brought up a good point too. The old ones, where it was Big Idea owned, Big Idea produced before they were sold to different.
Right.
The
was it Universal, NBC Universal?
Yeah, something like that.
Because that's what they look like now.
They have eyebrows.
So that's fine. I mean, that doesn't bother me at all.
To me, I guess.
Listen. They have so much. Minnesota Cuke, Larry Boy. You go down the line. It's not just.
And the older
VeggieTales.
that I get, the funnier they are to me, because like Lord of the Beans. I loved Lord of the Beans. Then I watched Lord of the Rings and went back and watched Lord of the Beans.
They were spot on.
And like,
it's fantastic.
I was like, that is hilarious.
Yeah,
I'm telling
those
you.
guys are
art.
And that's
Comedy.
really okay. So we've been like going everywhere, but we're talking about pop culture. In the
this
Christian,
is my jam, man.
And this is the thing, though. Like, there is good. So I want to be very careful here, because there is really good stuff out there that believers are putting out there. There's amazing books. There's amazing. Man, some of the actual art that like you would hang up on the wall. Good stuff.
Oh yeah, amazing.
But there's and I'm probably gonna step in it here, but then there's CCM music.
Oh
no.
Okay. I am not a fan of today's. There's some good artists out there, but we've talked about DC Talk. Okay, I think definitely artists. I'm going to tell you who I think is another artist, and you may or may not agree, but it was Jars of Clay.
Jars of
Clay. Yeah, that was the other album around that same time as Jesus Freak.
Right.
It was Jars of, yeah.
What was the name of the album?
I think it was the one with Flood on it.
Yeah.
It was just called Jars of Clay. It was self-titled.
I listened to both of those albums. Those were the only two Christian albums I owned at the age of, it must have been in my 20s. Right. Those were the only two Christian albums I owned, because they were art. They were something that you listened to and went,
well,
man,
and they
this is
fit
amazing.
in, especially Jars of Clay fit in so well with the alternative music at the time.
Oh, right.
Like it was just, it was perfect.
Well, so
and
did DC Talk.
the thing about DC Talk that I appreciate is every album is different.
Mm-hmm.
Like you from DC Talk, New Thing, Free at Last, Jesus Freak, Supernatural. Every album is a different genre all
Hey,
in
and,
its
and a shout
in
out
its
to
own.
Oral Roberts University because those were the three guys coming
No,
from.
it was Liberty.
No, it's Liberty. That's
Liberty
right. It wasn't Oral
Liberty
Roberts. It was
University.
Liberty.
All right. Well,
That's right.
for instance, I mean, Newsboys was another
Yes.
group that I thought musically they were amazing. I love Peter Furler.
Oh, dude, Breakfast in Hell.
Oh yes,
Great song.
great song. What happened? Okay, I'm asking.
Let's go. Let's
because
do this.
I'm an outsider. I'm a person who came to the church late in my life, so I missed a lot of this stuff. What happened to Christian music poking fun of it at itself? At Christian culture, what happened to Christian music poking fun at sometimes what we say or do as Christians?
The place that happens is Christian rap and hip hop.
Well, yeah.
In terms of like the Christian,
well,
like,
where it's happening now, but what happened to change that? Because I think we've got two.
it
Here's a couple
became
things.
it's like any other music genre. It became commercialized,
That's right.
and it
let's
became
follow
the
money.
record companies. It because
well, is that then? Let me ask you a question. Then is that just it becomes at that point as an outsider who came in from the outside to go into the church? It looks to me like there's just preaching to the choir going on, and there's nothing. It's like I'm going to speak.
people, they're making music for us, not music.
We've already got you guys. We have a captive audience. You know, we're
Enter K-Love.
oh my
Don't get me
gosh.
started on K-Love.
But I mean, here's the thing, guys. I mean, I think all these things have their place.
Yeah.
and
They do.
I mean, even Caleb. Okay, I don't like the share-a-thons 24/7, but like they have their place. But here's what I'm saying:
And there's
is,
people that love K-Love.
Yeah.
right? Absolutely, and that's
they're
great.
they're doing good. I'm not
I'm not
crapping
slamming
all over
anybody.
Here's what I
but-
want to make it safe to be, though. I want it to be a safe place inside the church that we can discuss these type of things.
Right.
You know, that we can say, I hate the War Room. I don't like the movie. I think it's a terribly written movie. It doesn't have a narrative thread all the way through. I do like the elderly woman who's like Yoda.
Well, and the theme.
I do like her. I
the
do
theme
like
of
the
prayer.
theme.
Absolutely.
I do like the theme. But I watched it with a friend one time who will remain nameless, and I
to
think,
protect the innocent.
yes, I know he's watching, but we both didn't enjoy it. We did not enjoy the movie, and you know, I just it wasn't something that spoke to me. Now, conversely, I watched Courageous. And
That's a good movie.
Oh, that movie made me ugly cry. I mean, just pulled at your heartstrings, pulled you in, and said, you know, this is what following Jesus is all about. It's not all, you know, rainbows and rosy fine candy, as you say. You know,
That's right.
It's not all rose-colored glasses. You know, this is real life, and Jesus helps us overcome tragedies in our life. You know, he lost his daughter in the movie, and I have two. And if I lost a daughter, I mean, that would cripple me. So, I mean, that movie spoke to me.
Absolutely.
But if I said in public, I don't care. You guys know I don't care. You guys know I don't give a rip because I guess I came in from the outside. I'm the outsider.
Right.
I don't care. I don't like the War Room. I watched it, gave it a try. I thought it stunk. I'm not going to watch it again.
Can there be a time of confessions from a pastor?
Yes.
I have never watched The War Room. And here's why. I'm just going to be really honest, is because do y'all remember, speaking of Christian pop culture,
Oh yeah.
let's go with the WWJD bracelet, which
Oh,
stands
now-
for
come
What
on.
Would Jason Do? I'm just kidding. But literally, like I saw the trailer of The War Room, and I said, you know what's going to happen? This is another bracelet movie. And what I mean by that is then how many people went out and actually made a war room in their home, just like in the movie.
Well, if they liked it, hey, more
You know,
power
which is
to
fine.
them.
Which is fine. But for me, I was like, you know, I just don't even want to go there.
Can we make it okay to say that I don't like certain Christian pop culture things?
No,
That's
and
the
I
only
think
thing.
it's totally okay to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and here's the thing, guys. It's like we're not slamming anything. I think everything has its place. Some people really
It's
love
all
the war.
jokes.
Yeah, there's some people that really love the War Room and all those things, and that's great. And I know a lot of people who that movie like really affected their prayer life,
Change their life.
and that's awesome.
That's
But-
a good point, Kelly. Kelly Blankenship.
What's
said,
up, Kay?
I felt that the War Room pointed out that we collectively, as Christians, don't pray enough. And I think that's a great thing about that movie.
And that's what I'm trying to get at.
But
is
I didn't like it.
Right. And everybody can. I mean, everybody's got
long.
their everybody's got their opinions, right? And I think that's fine. I think when we begin to take, and this is where the segue into some things, is where when we begin to take these pop Christian culture things and we have made them an idol.
Yeah.
And like, well,
Agreed.
if you don't have the Jesus bumper sticker on your car, the fish.
You're not a follower.
You're not a follower of Jesus.
Or if you don't have the fish eating the Darwin fish.
Right. Then and it's like, wait a minute, that's not the point. I think we all have different things. I love praise music.
I separate worship music from the contemporary Christian.
Right. I love worship music. I love praise music, but and we are getting some, I'm going to say, artists who are putting together some worship music. And I'm just going to shout out to Bethel. I love Bethel music.
Yes.
I love their instrumental stuff. Like, to me, it's like that is
prayer music.
Dude, it's amazing. Like, this is what I like. I'm big on jazz anyway, so I really like that thing. And so these kind of things are important, and I think all of these are helpful. But I guess what we're trying to say is let's not use those as the gauge of our spirituality.
Yeah. They're not badges to be worn.
No,
they're not Awana's badges to be put on your Sparky's vest.
No,
bring it back.
We're bringing it back to pop culture here. Okay, Awana's, is that the Christian Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
See, I am like outsider.
And
king
each denomination out there has their own little thing. Like Kelly Blankenship, you could probably help me out with this. Royal Rangers, that was Assembly of God, correct? I believe that's right.
Now that's a cool name.
Wasn't there
an
ambassadors? Wasn't that?
And there was an ambassadors, but I don't know.
No, wait a minute. The Royal Rangers, I would have totally joined that group. That sounds cool.
Yeah, I mean, and there's and there's some really
I was
good
a
stuff.
Sparky. I was the worst Sparky ever, but I was a Sparky.
Why were you the worst Sparky ever?
I did not like memorizing things. I had to memorize like scripture for school. Like I was homeschooled, but I had
what child likes memorizing?
Yeah, and so
things?
I didn't. I had my little crown badge with all the little jewels in it, but I didn't get the patch behind the crown that had like something else on it.
Did it make you feel bad? Did you want it?
I did want it. And yes, Kelly said, yeah, that was AOG.
Ah, cool.
What is AOG?
Assembly of God.
Or the Royal Rangers.
The Royal Rangers.
Oh man, they would have.
And those things are really good. And there's part of me that wishes.
Sounds like Dudley Do-Right or the Royal Mounted Canadian Police or something. Yeah. I would have totally been in.
And it's funny because Kelly's in the chat, but like I got so much Christian music from Kelly Blankenship specifically.
Yes.
Over the years, like Petra, like blew my mind as a 6-year-old kid who's like listening to music, and like the youth group kids are listening to like As I Lay Dying and Under Oath and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna listen to that stuff because that's cool. But then Kelly was like, oh, here's Petra.
Where were all of these people when I was growing up?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I'm going to tell you what, you can like totally sit down with Kelly Blankenship and you could totally have this conversation about Christian music because
I'd love to talk to him.
Kelly, you got to do that with him one of these days because it's amazing. Because he knows a lot about it and listened to a lot.
I'll school him on Tupac and Biggie.
Well, there you go. Which that's
I
funny
can
to
picture him driving down the road.
Hypnotized.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can picture that.
The one thing that really got me that really was interesting to me, and I think it led to some of the downhill of some of like Christian music, is because what happened is that the Christian music industry noticed that As I Lay Dying or all these different bands were really popular with certain age groups, right? Mm-hmm. So you had the alternative with the older, and whatever. So then they started marketing bands.
Yeah, you started having all of these record labels pop up that specifically, like one of them is like Tooth and Nail Records. They were an independent label that wasn't specifically Christian. But they ended up getting bought by a bigger label, and then they started pushing out like the Christian punk or the Christian punk rock music, and Solid State Records is the same way.
Yeah, I mean, but basically what you had is, I remember as a youth pastor, I would get these posters that said, if you like, and it listed all the secular music, then you will like, and then it listed all the approved Christian music.
All right, let me ask you guys a question. If somebody they're more or less a tribute band at that point.
At that
are
point,
they not?
And they're
in some senses, because some of them they just had a similar sound, but you could tell that they weren't trying to be that.
But when we come to the point of I am trying to sound like, or I'm trying to be, there is only one person that we should be like, and that's Jesus himself.
Right.
We as artists, I play a little bit on keyboards. I play drums. I like to sing, but
Do you like to groove and boogie?
I do. But it's like, here's the thing. Why? God's given us talents and stuff, and why are we sounding like? Let's be who we are. Mm-hmm. And I think that I'll tell you what would change the face of Christian music is if the artists would say to the record labels, I'm not going to be the pick your pop star, artist. I'm not going to be the Christian version of this. I'm going to be who I am. And I'm going to put out what now there's a lot of Christian artists that are going rogue. They're going out on their own, and they're doing these things because they're trying to be who they are and who God called them to be. And I think that's the point.
I think Josh on Facebook brings up a good point. He says Christians who are artists equal good art with Christian themes, and Christian who use art to spread a message equals bad art, a.k.a. propaganda.
And we're not talking about Prop himself, man.
Propaganda's
Propaganda is an amazing poetry rap artist. The guy's is just a genius. So fast, it speaks to the heart of the matter quickly, and then gets you to thinking after you hear him. But I agree. When as a person who I don't listen to a lot of Christian contemporary music, I do listen to praise songs, and I listen to some of the old stuff like Newsboys, Peter Furler's Newsboys. I listen to that type of stuff, and I'm an old man, and I get it. But I don't. There's not a lot besides Lecrae, besides Propaganda, people like that I actually actively listen to. I listen to Lecrae, I listen to Propaganda. I love their music, but I just when people are making art from the heart,
there you
go. Secular or not, we shouldn't say secular or Christian.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I was going to say that kills everything right there.
You are, like Josh said, you are a Christian who makes art.
Right.
And you have the ability and the freedom to go in any direction and to speak to anything you want to. Why don't we give Christian artists that freedom as followers of the artist? Why don't we give them that freedom?
Well, and I think that's, to me, that's where we as a body of believers need to get to. Where we can to try to just let's be who God's called us to be,
right?
And I think that's a huge thing. There's some great artists out there that are
amazing,
that are putting out the gospel message.
Melt my heart.
Absolutely, but it's not propaganda. It's not bad art. It is, hey, this is real. And so I just want to say to anybody out there, especially young people, if you're listening, I don't know if young people listen to us, but, if you're out there, listen, I believe God calls us in all fields, art especially, and I believe that there is something out there that people need to be listening to God in that art, and let's do it well. And let's be artists who love Jesus
and speak from the heart.
That's right.
Regardless of what you have something to say. Each person that creates art, and even those who don't, have a unique perspective.
Right.
You are the only you in this entire universe, and God made you for a certain way in a certain manner, and you have to tell your story. And whether that's through song, whether that's through a speech, whether that's through a comedy bit,
Amen.
You have to have the freedom, and Christian people should give you the freedom to say what you want to say in the moment, and speak to how Jesus got in your heart, how Jesus changed your life, and how Jesus changed your mind.
That's right.
And a lot of us, and you don't have to say Jesus in every stinking song.
Yeah.
Speak to a struggle.
Yeah,
My
that's
gosh.
well, and there's so much. One thing, my favorite Christian rapper is Andy Mineo, and one thing that I really appreciate about him is like in so much in contemporary Christian music, and it's just they talk about the struggle, but like they say the struggle, like it's so vague. It's such a I
Dude,
mean,
is that kind of like a buzzword?
Yes.
When
Yes.
you just say the struggle, I mean, I want to tell people so bad about some of the things that God pulled me out of, and say, I used to abuse alcohol. I used to abuse drugs, and this is where it put me.
yeah, and that was what I was getting at with.
Why can't we do that?
With Andy Mineo? I can't remember what the song is called. There's a few. One of them's called "Family Album," and it's just talking about struggles with his dad, but it's like he's going in depth, and like there was another one talking about
that's
when
healing,
how
Joey,
old he
isn't it?
yes when he was talking about how old he was when his mom walked in on him watching porn, like he's like this is the struggle.
He's taking
And
things
people
from
are
the
able-
darkness and
peop-
putting them into the light.
Yeah,
Right.
and people are able to listen to that and go, "Oh,
Was
I
that
thought I was the only one." If you're just
Right.
talking and talking about a vague struggle is not always bad. People like
Right.
K-Love music. People get a lot out of K-Love music,
Right.
and they're reaching different people
That's
than I am.
Right.
So, but for me, that's not my thing. I want that hard conversation in the middle of a song.
Right.
That's not your jam, but it could be
Well,
Paige's jam.
But
Yeah,
here's-
exactly.
But here's the thing. I
She's
think
like,
that
"No,
points
no,
to
yeah."
the question of what Charles said earlier was like if you stick to your convictions and what God is teaching you and doing it and being true to that, it will come out good.
It will.
That's Holy Spirit. And
Honesty is the best policy.
This
right.
is a good point, Aubrey.
Yeah.
A lot of Christian
absolutely, I was just getting ready to read it. Joe, go.
a lot of Christian. Lauren Daigle is a Christian artist, and she's
One
great.
of my faves right now.
She's great. They play her on K-Love all the time, but they also play her on like regular pop
Yeah.
radio.
I, as an outsider, I never understood that. I would say to the world, God gives you a bigger platform, all right, as an artist, to make you more visible, to hear what God has done in your life through your art. And Christian people freak out about it.
And because she doesn't always
Why?
say God in her songs. Another one that I really like. I'm a metalhead, so
That shakes
But
me
that-
to the core, dude,
but
as
that,
a Christian.
there's a couple Christian like Skillet. I love Skillet.
Right.
And Red is another one. They get huge radio plays. It's a satellite radio, but that's where radio is now.
Right.
Can you guys help me with this though?
Yeah.
Why? Why do we do that? Why when an artist who is Christian changes the theme of his songs, doesn't say Jesus every bar?
Why do they go on shows like Ellen?
No, that's not.
No?
Why does
Christians-
Christian culture?
Why do we
pile
flip on them when they
Right,
do
that's what
go
I'm
to
saying.
on Ellen?
That's
It's
what I was
like the
getting at.
guy who follows a small band who doesn't have a lot of exposure, and they're like, "Man, I really love this band. This band is so awesome." Then the band gets a record deal. I hate that band. I can't stand that
Right.
band. They sold out, man. They sold out.
Right.
Well, why do we do that to
I
Christian
think
artists?
we hit it straight up as we've drawn a line between the secular and the non-secular, and that's where we begin to it's got to have a Jesus fish or it's not Christian. We've made these lines and it's like, now wait a minute, to
Well,
me
we
what
talk-
makes
we
what
act
makes
like-
music really what makes music worthy of God looking down and saying, man, I like that. I'm
I
pretty
think-
fond of that.
I think it's a wider range than we would
I think it is.
acknowledge.
I think it is. And
Well, and it's like, dang it, I lost my train of thought. It was going to be a good point, and I
well,
lost
we
it.
got to stop this, man.
Stop it now.
But
But that's the thing that always amazes me is that I'm fascinated as a human being with with American Christian pop culture and what I don't say. How do I say this? That what we as a group like, and what is not acceptable that's not necessarily Christ-like. For instance, let me get my train of thought here together. Joey and I were on the same train. Josh says on Facebook says cancel culture began in the church, and that's an example that's been going on since Stryper.
That's another band.
Stryper, Michael Sweet. Now I've heard of them.
Stryper's great,
but that's because they got gigantic.
And Aubrey Ash on Facebook brought up a great point too. We don't trust that the Holy Spirit is going to work through their music to other people. Well, that music.
Say that?
Exactly. But this is what happens. Is that that music's for us. We identify. That's what it is. Is we identify, and it goes back to the guy who liked the indie band before they got big. They identified with that band. They identify with that artist. And then when something changes, and like you just don't. Well, I don't identify with them anymore, so I don't like them.
Well, another example is when they change, like they want to. They're let's say they're a punk band, and they want to explore a little bit. They're musicians. They're artists.
Right.
They want to create something different. They don't want to keep creating the same album over and over and over. You know, and they say, okay, I'm gonna do polka music for the next album.
Wow, that's a big switch.
That is a really big switch.
No, I'm kidding.
I don't know if I can get behind that.
They do. Let's say they do a southern
Right.
rock sound.
Right.
Okay, for their next album. I was just teasing. I was trying to get your reaction. I was like, beer barrel polka, buddy. But yeah. Hello, everyone. We're going to play some music. But when they change their sound, people get off the train too. It's like we don't care about you as. I think it outs them as we don't care about you as artists or as people. We just cared about what you fed inside of us.
Okay.
And can we turn that on Christian music or
here? How about this? We put God in a box.
Well, hell yeah.
And we say we cannot. No, let me put it this way. I got to think about this. God can't speak to me through this music because, and I don't know about you guys, but I listen to a lot of different styles of music and different just whatever. And God has spoke to me. Okay, you all ready? Through John Mayer.
If you're listening, how could it not?
So there's a song and it's called Half of My Heart, and it's a love song. And he's talking about he cannot love anymore with just half of his heart. If he does that, it's like a shotgun wedding and a paper ring. That's the lyric. And I remember writing a sermon, listening to this, and the Lord I had to put my pencil down and say, God, am I only loving you with half of my heart? And it totally, to me, and I'm not out there saying, oh, you should listen to this. And I'm not saying that.
Right.
You just do what you got to do. You
Josh said
whatever.
your Bible is a wonderland.
There you go.
That's
nice,
awesome.
Josh.
Very good,
But
Josh.
it's like, that one lyric brought, a matter of fact, it changed the course of that sermon I was writing.
Right.
It changed the course of it. And God had me turn to other scriptures.
And all music can do that.
And all movies can do that.
Yes.
Books can do that.
Yes.
I think what it is we put God in such a box that we say God can't work. And we serve a God who knows exactly where we're at.
And that's amazing.
And that's amazing to me.
That's my saving grace because how off the rails I can get, how weird I am sometimes. I can take solace in the fact that even if no one understands, that my dad in heaven understands. And he's like, okay, hey, I built you. I designed you from a little bitty microscopic egg. and he said, and I was there the entire time.
I was watching it.
I knitted you together. I put you together. I know how you feel. I know what you're going through. My son went through the same stuff.
I mean, I don't know how many times God has just brought a certain song or just at the right time out of the blue, and it's just like, the other day, and the closer I walk with him, I'll be honest with you, I listen to a lot more worship music than I used to, and so a lot of times it's through that, but a lot of times it's not. I mean, the other day I was listening to Coltrane. I'm a big Coltrane fan.
Oh, John Coltrane,
man, just Some Kind of Blue, man, and I was listening, and I just got overwhelmed with the joy and peace of God, and I know he was probably strung out when he wrote it, and I get it. But
since when does God not work through that?
There's real pain.
That's
There's
right.
real. It's coming through the strings of a guitar or a brass instrument or a piano. You can tell when somebody their heart is broken or they're happy like Pharrell's happy. I mean, you can't help but smile when you hear that song.
Right.
It's the
I've
emotions.
been a part of
art.
conferences where they sang that as a worship song.
Right.
Thank God for that.
Shout out to Beth Moore.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's one of those things, and as we talk about God knowing exactly where we're at, and we're running real close on time, so this is gonna be real short.
Hey man, you close, brother.
But I am just sitting here going, as we're talking about this, I didn't even know how those two were gonna come together, but they actually have come together quite well.
How about that, huh?
Oh, it's awesome, God. Thank you. I was reading this devotional, and I'm going through the book of Matthew, and talking about the temptation of Jesus, and I just was like overwhelmed with the fact that we serve a God, and we follow a Messiah who knows exactly how we're tempted. Yes. He knows exactly the pain we're going through in every way, and people go, "Oh, he couldn't," Oh no, he did, and
he lived it.
He lived it. If you look at it in Matthew 4, and I'm not going to read it. You guys can go home and read it. You probably are thinking it, but this says that the Spirit drove him into the wilderness, which to me is an awesome thought that his dad told the Spirit, "Hey, he needs to go out in the wilderness because he needs to experience what my children are going to experience." And so he goes out there, and he's for 40 days and 40 nights.
That's alone. That is feeling alone.
That is alone. and he gets hungry after 40 days and 40 nights. I mean, duh.
Right. Who wouldn't?
We can't even go 40 minutes, right? I mean,
I can't go 4 minutes.
So it's like all of a sudden he's out there, and then the enemy comes in when he's vulnerable.
Right.
And he says, "Hey, you're the Son of God." He uses truth. He says, "Turn these stones into bread." And then Jesus answers him scripturally, said, "Man shall not live by bread alone."
In other words, what I look like, a baker.
A baker, right. But then, okay, just think about this. But then later in his ministry, he takes 2 loaves of bread and he feeds thousands.
I am a baker.
See? I mean, but when you look
How
at
about
this,
that, devil?
So he knows what it is
Yes!
to be at our weakest. He knows what it
Flip the
is.
script on
the
you.
That's right.
That's right. You thought you knew.
He thought you do, but it's like all of a sudden he knows where our weak points are. He knows when we're struggling.
Right.
Okay. He knows these things, and then it goes on, and he takes him up to the holy city, and he talks about, "Hey man, throw yourself off this tower," and it says the angels will come.
What I look like, a hang glider?
or as I was reading this thing, he says, "Does it look like I'm a magician?" Like,
right.
Don't test the Lord your God. I'm not here to entertain. I'm not here to. Yes, that's what happens.
I do things in my time.
That's right. And all of a
or
sudden
God's
it says,
time. Let me rephrase
he
that.
says that, and then but later on after the struggle, what does it say? That after the next test, as we would say, the angels come and minister to him. And it wasn't because he needed help. He was, I believe, I always look at it, he was getting an upgrade. Yeah. It was like, God the Father was like, "Oh,
level up.
Here you go," right? and so he says that, and that happens. But
but later on, he ascends to heaven. He does fly.
He does fly. I mean, it's like, look at
when God wants him to.
That's right. And he goes on and he talks about, "I'm going to give you this, the next thing is I'll give you the world. I'll give you everything that this world has to offer." And it's like,
I can show you the world.
It's like, hey,
I don't need no carpet, baby.
No, man, I'm just going to go.
God's just going to take me up to heaven.
There you go. But he's like, "Man, it says the Bible, worship the Lord God alone." In other words, this is already mine. And I'm here to tell you that the enemy's going to come into our lives, and he's going to use good things that are happening around us. He's going to use our art. He's going to use the pop culture.
Amen to that.
And he is going to twist it, because that's what the enemy does. He's a deceiver. He's going to twist it to get us to stop looking to Jesus and looking at who he is. And I think we just have to get to a point, church, where we're like all in. Like I said in my sermon the other day, which one of my friends thought it was funny, we need more poker players.
Hey, I'm a poker player.
There you go. We need to go all in and say, you know what? God has called me into the arts. He's called me. And you know how I feel about politics, but he's called us into politics. We need to do this.
As Christian fans, we also need to quit creating idols. I mean,
come on.
I mean, when you think about the greatest Christian heroes of all time, they smashed idols. They smashed paintings. They smashed things that weren't representative of God.
Right.
Because they didn't want those things infiltrating their lives. They didn't want them to feel hate. They didn't want them to marginalize people. They didn't want to push people out. Just sometimes idols have to fall. And
they
not
do.
only metaphorical, but physical idols.
Well, I think we also have to look at this as well. We also have to be careful within our church culture to not allow the things that God is doing in our lives, the gifts that he's given us, to become the idols.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Because it's very easy for a gift that God has given me that becomes all that I care about.
Right.
And now that's all I'm going to talk about. That's all I'm going to try to do, instead of saying, wait a minute, God, where do you want me to go?
As a worship leader, I have to do that because
Right.
I have I have a little bit of an ego, as most musicians do.
Most performers do.
And keeping that in check, like I get that, because it is hard, because I do go, oh, I want to write this song, but I mean, if it's not for God, then
Well,
I mean,
Dr. Dan.
for
is
me,
sitting
what's
here-
the point? I can enjoy music that wasn't written for God. Like, I love Metallica.
Right.
Like, I can enjoy that, but like, for me, and me and Dan have had this conversation, why, for us as artists, how can we not do it for God?
Right. So the other, I was just saying, Dr. Dan, he came in, he's like, oh, I'm here to do music. And then he started, no, we're going to do a podcast. Like, God has called him to do something different.
Right.
And so, as well. So,
Miss you, Dan.
yeah, we do.
Love you.
Hey, guys, I know we're a little bit everywhere today, but I think it all came back together.
Oh, yeah. That was a crazy train ride.
And
I do want to read this scripture verse that Charles posted in the chat.
Yes.
Let's.
So, be filled with the Spirit, addressing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing
Rock
and making
on.
melody to the Lord with your heart, giving thanks always and for everything to God the Father in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's
Awesome,
a way to
dude.
end.
That is a way to end. Thank
With
you,
the word.
Charles. Hey, guys, we love you to pieces. Have a great Sunday. Get to church, whether it's online or in person,
Wherever
at any
it may
church.
be.
Whatever
Love you,
it may
Sita.
be. See y'all. Bye.